first time me and 40 did a song, I'll never forget. I was on tour when he sent his verse through, and it was Far Alone. And it's one of those things where when a voice is so, like, you grew up listening to this voice. He was, you know what I'm saying, like, everywhere, inescapably, like, everywhere in the Bay all my life. And he's got such a unique, iconic voice at that. You know, nobody has ever sounded like U40 and no one ever will. So this familiar voice, you know, he sends me the file and I press play, and it's this song Far Alone off my first album. And I'm listening to it, my verse plays, the hook plays, and then 40 comes on, and it was like, oh my God, my world stood still, because it was like, this voice is on my song, you know what I mean? And I was just like, what the fuck? And I just appreciated that moment so much as somebody I'm such a fan of, fucking with me and showing love and what that meant. Because I wasn't, you know what I'm saying, much at the time at all. But the fact that he would see something in me, show love when he didn't have to, taught me a valuable lesson about always paying it forward and showing love too. You know, from that moment on, it's been, you know, I talk to Unc all the time. Like, that's, you know, it's one of my favorite people. I remember the first time going to his house and walking past all the plaques, and then, you know, because he's got his studio in there, we're in there working, I'm just like, damn, I'm at E40's crib, this is crazy. And then, you know what I'm saying, the last time I went there, I brought my little homies, and they're, you know what I'm saying, same shit, like, damn, look at these plaques, damn, bro, like, this is crazy. You know, it's like, it's to be shared, it's to be passed along, it's to be, you know, that's what it's about. The story that comes to mind in terms of a memorable studio moment would be the night I did this record called Everything Will Be Okay. And I remember the first two verses just flowed out of me. This guy comes in the studio, and I don't even know who he was, and I still don't to this day. But for some reason, I was okay with him there. I think he knew my A&R, and he's just like, are you scared of this record? And I'm like, what you mean? He was like, this is gonna be one of the biggest records you ever do in your life. Are you scared of it? And I'm like, no. He's like, all right, we'll go there then. I go all the way there. And I just felt like this presence was challenging me. I'm like, all right. And it was probably the first time I'd fully like cut myself open and spilled out like that. You know, that vulnerable, that real, that deep. You know, it was like, I think that's where the best stuff comes from. It's when you're the most vulnerable. The song Think About You off of When It's Dark Out will always be one of my favorites, man. That's very close to my heart. I did it with this girl, Quinn. She's just an amazing talent. She dates black. She's one of those special spirits who's just like, has an energy about her, who's just like very rare, very, very magical almost. And there's like this fragility to her voice that's both vulnerable and strong and powerful and beautiful, but at the same time like delicate. And I think that's like how you feel if you're like actually in love with somebody, is at the same time, like, you know what I'm saying, is this can be this powerful force, but it could also crush you, you know, and you're almost afraid of it. And like, you know, if you've ever been like, you know, that vulnerable in a situation with somebody, you know, or if you've ever been hurt or you ever had your heart broken or whatever, you know what I mean? Like that kind of balance of like, you know, how powerful, but at the same time, how tender in a way, you know what I'm saying, love can be. And, you know, when I write stories about relationships or something like that, it's kind of like, people always want to look to who's this about or who's, you know what I'm saying? But I think artists are held to an unfair standard when it's like, it's our job to express ourselves, but it's also to tell many stories, you know, and oftentimes a lot of relationships kind of become an amalgam, you know, and a like one story will tell, whether it's what I saw somebody go through or, you know, what I went through with multiple people, or, you know, what, even if I saw it in a film or read it in a book or something. I mean, it's universal. So I kind of, you know, I try to fit it all into music.